Click for IB Biology. We're looking at the properties of water. There's a PDF in the description below, and you can use that to annotate with your own notes. And at the end there's also a quiz linked in there that you can test your understanding of adhesion, cohesion, capillarity, solubility, buoyancy, viscosity and thermal capacity, just a few of the emerging properties of water which make life possible. And so we've considered already the charges between individual water molecules called hydrogen bonds, and whilst the hydrogen bond is relatively weak, many of them confer a certain stability on the water. If we take a body of water, such as in the case of these mosquito larvae, we've got the surface diagrammatically here and then the body of water here. So think about the charges for the water molecules in the body of water are spread out equally around that water molecule, so the charge is distributed to many water molecules, but on the surface the charge is only distributed to those in close proximity on the surface. There's fewer of them, of course, with air above, and so the charge distribution means there's a stronger attraction on the surface due to hydrogen bonding than there is in the body. Now the mosquito larvae take advantage of this. They have a structure called a siphon, which they use on the end of their abdomen that they use for ventilation, and this is stuck to the surface of the water molecules, allowing them to hang from the surface, so they're ventilating with their siphon structure here, and so they're ventilating with air, but they're also taking advantage of the support of the surface tension. Over here we've got pond skaters. These animals actually move on the surface of water. They use 4 legs to do that. What we can see in this image here, these shapes here, is where the water comes into contact with the feet, or feet to water rather. There's a repulsion between the foot structure and the water structure, and where the water molecules on the surface are bound together more strongly, as we described in this model here, with the animal foot on the water like that, the water molecules adhere, they stick to it, but also they don't break. The mass of the insect and its weight on the water doesn't break the surface tension, hydrogen bonding, and so they can move around on the surface. Over here we have a phenomena where water molecules stick together through hydrogen bonding, and this chain of attachment between water molecules like this is a phenomena called cohesion. So in the diagram what's happening is that the oxygen is attracted to the hydrogen of another water molecule like so, and then the oxygen to another hydrogen like so, and so we have this chain of connection between the water molecules called cohesion. And if we exert a pulling force at this end of the water molecules, the entire column of water is pulled upwards. Now this becomes developed in the concept of capillarity, in which water may be moving in a tube, such as the xylem. So we have our water-to-water connection in cohesion, so that's attraction between the water molecules, hydrogen bonded together. But then we also have adhesion, but this adhesion is between the water molecules are being attracted to a hydrophilic surface. In the case of xylem, this would be cellulose of the cell wall. And so the water molecules are attracted to the wall like this, and they're attracted in an upward manner, so that the water molecules, when hydrogen bonded together, are being pulled upwards like this. And this creates the effect in the capillary of the familiar meniscus. So in this zone here, adhesion is pulling the water molecules up the surface of the capillary tube, and the other molecules are also being pulled up in that direction. But remember, the water molecules are also being pulled up by cohesion between the individual molecules, and this gives the effect of what is called the capillarity, or the movement of water molecules against the gradient. And this contributes to the movement of water through tubular systems such as the xylem or the tissues of plant cells and their leaves, as we will see later. Solubility is another property, and a very, very important property of water, things dissolving in water. So if we take something like a salt like sodium chloride, in water this will dissociate into sodium ions and chloride ions. So in this diagram here we have the sodium ions here, and water molecules are attracted to the strong positive ionic charge of the sodium ions. And so you'll see in the diagram that I've drawn that the negative oxygens are attracted towards the positive sodium, and this causes an orientation of the water molecules like so. And in turn, water molecules in the next shell orientate themselves to the negative oxygen towards this hydrogen, and the water begins to arrange itself through these hydrogen bonds into consecutive water shells like onion rings around the central ion like this. And in a chloride, this would be reversed, so that what's attracted to the negative chloride charge is the positive charges of the hydrogens, like so. And this will also end up with shells of water molecules, concentric shells of water molecules around the chloride ion. When that happens, this is called dissolving, and creates the property for water of the capacity to dissolve ionic substances, polar substances, and for them to be transported. So you've got dissolving of salts and ionic structures, and this then means that in their dissolved form they can be transported, such as the transportation of salts, amino acids, sugars, dissolved in the water of the plasma of blood, for instance, and transported around your system. Further properties that we'll come across are things like the properties of buoyancy. So here we have a loon. This bird is called a loon. It's a species of bird which lives on lakes. And of course, like many such animals, they have the capacity to float on the lake surface. And we know what's going on there is that we have the buoyancy force. The water is pushing upwards, and this is balanced by the weight of the displaced water in this direction here. And where they're balanced, then we have this phenomena of floating. And of course this is crucial to many marine organisms which wish to do this, occupy this type of habitat. And of course the buoyancy of fish within water itself allows them to move upwards and downwards in the water column by regulating their buoyancy. Other properties that emerge from the physical properties of water is viscosity, the capacity or the efficiency of flow, making water suitable for swimming in, for blood flow, and also for the movement at joint surfaces, such as with synovial fluid, reducing the friction at surfaces. And the other phenomenon that we might think about, even within the context of this loon here, is that occupying a habitat like water, interestingly on a daily basis or a diurnal cycle, we would see that in air temperature, over a 24-hour period would dip during the dark period of the night and then rise again during daylight. But water temperature, which I'll do with a dotted line, will tend to be more stable than that. And so there is an argument that aquatic environments create thermally speaking anyway, a more stable environment for organisms rather than the terrestrial environment. Life being essential for, or water being essential for life is looked at in the next video. There's a subscription button here to the channel and a playlist for you to look at the other videos in this sequence.